Hey, mate.
I hope.
Just saying, got my little ball magnets number. Look at me.
Hey, look, you going up in the world, mate.
Have I sold out?
Don't know. We'll let the fans decide.
Nah. Shout out to Bailey McCabe. He came over and dropped me off a couple of nice little items. So cool little hoodies there. Does this mean I'm part of the ball magnets crew now?
Surely.
I don't know if I'm a ball magnet though.
There's so many jokes I could make. So little time. Get you on. You, Cripper, and Titch, isn't it? It's Tom Mitchell.
Yeah. Might have to do like a bit of a session to see what my disposal efficiency would be like. Then I do some of these programs and see what it does to me.
Could be off-season content, couldn't we? We
be.
spend all Monday criticising them. Maybe they should put us out there.
True. We should try and enter the rookie draft. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, we could do. I'd imagine there's so many players Carlton have delisted that we've slated that they'd be happy to get a 22 versus us.
They would love it. It's actually not a bad idea. Just like a 9 versus 9 type situation, half the ground.
Yeah, versus Korchak.
Do you think 9 on 9? Do you think we like the fans would score a goal?
I reckon we'd batter them.
I don't know if we'd score.
I suppose it depends, doesn't it? I mean, who would you have? I'd fancy my chances versus Cam Paulson.
So like a former player list, like delisted players versus the best of the fans.
I reckon it'd be. I reckon we'd lose, but I reckon we'd give it a go if you gave us time.
Gave us a preseason. Yeah, interesting. Hello, everyone. Who we got? Cameron, Glenn. Mate, it does feel like we haven't seen you in a while. Miss Millsy, we are going very well. Gary, Lockie Jack.
Big Gaz.
Look, very impromptu. But that's the whole beauty of it. We're just breaking the schedule a little bit. So we just want to have a bit of a yarn for about an hour or so. Just talk shop. BA Saturdays. We haven't done BA Saturdays in a while. So, yeah, guys, feel free to drop a comment, drop a question, and we'll just funnel the conversation based off how it all goes down. Milton, Cameron, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. It feels good to be undefeated this weekend.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
We should think about off-season content. We should bring... Here's a question for chat, right? Imagine doing a YouTube AFL boxing event. Who do you think Terry should fight? And who do you think I should fight? And Terry, who would you want to fight?
As in a player?
No, I was thinking a content creator or a player or someone you'd like to challenge. That's our road to the big time. Look at Jake Paul. He's like pulling in numbers, bro.
I don't know. Like I'm trying to think. Because like there's a weight class, there's a weight division. Like I'm a pretty big boy. I'm pretty heavy.
Yeah, they do a catch weight though for you. I reckon Swoop.
Well, I thought of Swoop, but it's.
I'd fight Swoop.
Yeah. Although I think he'd be quick on his feet. He'd be hard to catch.
He can be quick as much as he wants.
Timing beats speed.
Because say when once Bob throws his right, Swoop's counting.
Yeah.
Terry versus Tagoe, what a fight.
Yeah. Interesting. Who would you fight?
Swoop Luke would be up there, I reckon, for the entertainment pre. True Footy. He's about my size.
Jesse? Oh, yeah? Well, you'd have to fly him in. He's an international man these days.
I reckon that'd be good. He's nice, though, isn't he? The problem is that a lot of the YouTubers are nice. Maybe Prime Train.
Prime Train. Ooh, there's a big boy.
I reckon that'd be good. Me and him. Do you know what I mean? I reckon we'd have some banter in the build-up.
Yeah. What up, Matt? Good to see you. First time chatter. Wow. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat.
He's
Yeah.
short though. I don't think they have height limits in boxing, Lockie.
Yeah, I don't know. Chris Beach, Terry versus Prime. I don't know. That would be
I'd like
interesting.
that. Two good-looking lads.
Two good-looking lads. Yeah, we'd have face protection. We'd have a few lids on.
That'd be a great fight. Fancam win Terry versus Fancam lose Terry.
Well, every time we lose and we do fan cams, does it not look like I've been in a fight? It's an emotional fight.
That'd be good. I'd love to see Mars versus Manny. I reckon that'd be a great fight.
Oh yeah.
Both outspoken, both loud,
Mm-hmm.
both proud of their Mediterranean roots. That'd be quality build-up fight as well. They'd have some quality bands.
I think so. All right. Let's get to some questions, guys. Anything you want to ask, really. It's a very casual session. Just something to do so we can hang out. Lou wants to know about Gresham. We can finally talk about him. I feel like I asked for Gresham in the preseason video with the AFL when Jake wanted Tom de Koning, and I said, fine, how about a first round pick and you can throw in Jade Gresham. Early days, without looking at the numbers, the stats, and really doing the analysis, what do you like when you read the Jade Gresham rhetoric? What did you think?
Jade Gresham, he's an intriguing one, isn't he? Because Jade Gresham reminds me of a named Zach Fisher.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is no disrespect to Jade Gresham, because I watched Jade play and I'm like, oh, he looks all right. But then you actually look at it from afar and you're like, Yeah, and every St Kilda fan I speak to, he is how we describe Zach Fisher. Like, like sometimes good, sometimes pants. Like, he's the ice on the top. So I feel like he's like, if we had a functioning forward line, you'd have him. But we've already got a guy called Jack Martin who could be our X factor, but we can't get him on the park. So, yeah, if Durden and Motlop suddenly fly, yeah. But Liam Ryan I'd prefer, because you know what you're getting with Liam.
Liam Ryan, yeah. I like Gresh. I do like Gresh, but he does have a lot of Carlton traits about him, and not necessarily for the positive. I feel like like you said, we have Gresham. We have a version of Gresham. If anything, Gresham probably hits the scoreboard a little bit more consistently than what we have at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, someone will clip this and it'll backfire, but fuck it. It's Saturday. Connors shits all over Gresham.
Connors shit. Well, a healthy Connors, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, Connors plays 7 games, you'll be going Greshu.
Imagine we get just like the rest of the season with Connors, like 10 straight games with Cunningham, just to break the cycle a little bit.
Me and Big Gaz Brown will be going on a drink along if that's the case. I tell thee, me and Gary Brown will be going on a drink along, mate. If Connors can stay fit, and that's an if, yeah, I rate him highly, and I think the Gresh talk would die down because we've had some success. Kerner is probably the closest we've got to Connors in the terms of we knew he was talented. Would he ever come back? If we can do what we did with Kerner, wean him in, get him right, happy days.
Yeah. Oh, we've got the waffle flipper. Do you think Fisher is finished? Trade him. I'm going to add Jack Silvani to this because I feel like when a player gets dropped, we are very quickly, we are very ready to conclude that that's it. They're done. If they're not in the best 22 on any given week, that's it. They're done. I mean, are they not just both going through form challenges, or is it the fact that are they out of contract? I think Jack's out of contract, but Fisher's not. But you get what I mean? Like, I feel like, all right, they've both been dropped. Go back, find some form, and then we just conclude that that's the end of them? Like, can they not just be going through form slumps in their career? And it's like the ups and downs.
You've done this for 5 years, Terry. Yeah. Come on, mate. Come on, you're better than that. I mean, the argument I'd have with Jack Silvani and Zach Fisher is they're, 25, 26? That they are cracking on, if we're being nice. So Zach's, 25? So's Jack, about the same age, aren't they? 25, 26 next year. So I think Zach Fisher, if he hit his straps and he was what he's meant to be, yeah, he's probably in that 26 conversation. And but we are at a situation where you've got to sell something if you want to fix something. So I think Jack, I don't think Jack is best 22 when everyone's fit, if I'm totally honest. I love Jack, but I don't think he is. So I agree with you. You should throw his name in. And I think he's got trade value. I think someone would pay him. Zach Fisher, with the Eagles being in a rebuild and they're looking for mid-agers, they've confirmed that they're going to do the rebuild the right way. He's probably got value there. So I think you could find a Zach Fisher very easy in the draft. I think Jack Silvani is probably harder to find, but he plays everywhere, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is Jack Silvani and what is Zach Fisher? And 25 years old, I thought I'd know what they'd be by now, but you don't, do you?
It's so interesting because 5 years ago, our conversations were wait till Zach Fisher or wait till Jack Silvani are 25. And now they're here. And then it's like, well, let's get a kid in who can probably maybe do what they do now already from an output standpoint. And then let's just say we bring a kid in that replaces someone like a Zach Fisher, for example. Then it's kind of like, well, wait till this kid's 25.
It always worries me because we go down the same path as well. When you look at Jack Silvani, he's playing down back now, right? In a position as the third tall, which is what he played down back. We've got Mitch McGovern, but Kemp's already there. You've also got to accommodate Zach Williams into this side, who he's there for a while, Zach Williams. So we can't really trade him, and he'll have zero trade value because he's been injured for 2 years. So you can't get rid of him, even if you wanted to trade him. Like, you'd be an idiot to pick him up. And it would be like a fourth, which would be probably the same that you'd probably get more for Jack Silvani on the open market. But then you look at the other players around them positions. Like, everyone in that draft has either been delisted and a decision's been made, or you know what they do. So you know what job that is. So like Bailey Dale, you know what Bailey Dale is. You know what type of footballer he is. Jack Silvani, is he a ruck? Is he a third forward? Is he a third defender? No one knows. And at 25 years old, that's unfair to him. That's unfair to the club. Where I guarantee you now, St Kilda will buy him, play him third forward. They'll use that as the pressure, and then they'll have the other guy kicking goals. So that's the big thing.
Can you imagine the outcry if it actually happens and Jack leaves Carlton?
It'll be sad, but I don't buy into heart and soul, bloodline, beating heart, that kind of thing. This is a job. And do you know what I mean? I think that's died in about 2000. Do you know what I mean? So it's a loss for that. But I mean, I think if you actually like Jack Silvani, I'd rather him go to St Kilda. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather him go to St Kilda or go to another club where he can probably have zero pressure because everyone sees him down the back and goes, oh, his dad was a bit good. Do you know what I mean? He'll have no pressure, redevelop himself, do it his own way. And do you know what I mean? The talk is St Kilda are really into him, and St Kilda fans like have got a thing at the moment. If Carlton get rid of a player, he's really good. Like, they're telling me Liam Stocker's the next Jake Lloyd. God knows what we'll say to Jack.
He's gone from Luke Hodge to Jake Lloyd.
They'll sign Jack Silvani and they'll start telling me that it's freaking the next Lockett.
Yeah. Hannah, should be focusing on fighting the imposters that have infiltrated your once great club. Wait, Hannah, aren't you a Carlton fan?
Give me names, Hannah, and I'll find them.
Yeah, we'll find them. Who are the imposters? Josh, if you could add any opposition player to our list right now, who would it be?
We've only just begun.
Just begun. I'd love a Scott Pendlebury. Who's the best decision maker in the league? Who's got that footy IQ? Who does it the best in the league? Do you think?
Oof.
That's the kind of player I would add and insert into this team. I know Scott
Tim
Pendlebury.
English would be my answer for opposition player. I think perfect age, and he's what we wish TDK would definitely be every week, and he's a good rug. Best decision maker, best footy IQ. Oh God, that's tough. Pendles would be up there. He never makes a mistake. Going to be controversial here because I don't think we've got a player like him on the list. Nick Dacos. I would love. I would sell my kidneys and maybe part of a liver for a player like that.
For Nick Dacos, yeah. He's a special one, Nick Dacos. Yeah. What about you guys at home? Who have you got? So I'm a big Miles Bergman fan. I'm also a big Zach Butters fan. Just on that, Vossi connection with his Port Adelaide former players. Any chance you think we could poach a couple of those Port Adelaide youngsters like a Xavier Dersma type? You know, it's a bit out of favour.
If there was an option for Zach Butters and Dersma, I'd do it tomorrow. That they are.
Yeah.
Even though Dersma's had his injuries, he's a different breed. But Butters, I've always liked Butters. I remember when we did the draft with Butters, we always liked Butters. He's got twat in him.
Yeah.
You know, people say mongrel. Fuck mongrel. I like twat. He looks like a real horrible human being. Like on the field, he looks like he hates people. He doesn't like people. He'll die to get the ball. He's the type of player that I like. Bailey Fritsch is a great shout, Peter V, as well. Oh, Fritzy, I'd get him. But yeah, Butters, because he's like an aggressive motlop, isn't he? He goes and gets them forward tackles. He goes and gets them tackles, but he also then gets the ball and takes the piss.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like them type of players. Do you know what I mean? That he's got like everything that we don't have. Zach Butters is literally everything that you want. He is.
True. I think Jeremy Cameron's got some pretty good footy IQ. Side bottom, good call. You know what you're getting with Jeremy Cameron. I mean, to be fair, I think Jack Silvani has good footy IQ. I do think he's got a natural instinct for it, but we're talking about outside the club. We've got the Bont. Wasn't the Bont?
I know a bit about football, but would you play me third forward?
Fair.
I wouldn't. Have a crack though for you. I mean, you probably.
Wow! Imagine we had a Bailey Fritsch type with Charlie and Harry.
Oh, Fritz is everything that forward line lacks. Someone that works hard as hell to take them to take them marks, to make themselves available on the entry. Like he makes their inside 50s look good. Rochelle, Lana, stop it! You're in fantasy football land now. I'll get excited. Yeah, Rochelle. We should have had Rochelle.
True. We should have. What do we got? I saw some other good questions here. That was a good one, Josh. Thank you for that.
Good one,
Nick. Let's say we go 7-3 for the rest of the year and finish 9th again. Do you go into the off season happy? No, I don't. No, I don't.
Don't know though. Them 7 wins, we'd be getting fucking giddy. I can.
We would be up and about.
That would say.
Well, it's an interesting point because I was thinking about this. Whatever the outcome will be at the end will be. We don't know right now. And I've really thought about expectations, and it seems to be a bit of a tricky word to put on this club because every time it's there, it comes with difficulty. But regardless and irrespective of what it looks like at the end of the season, whether we make the 8 or not, I still expect them to absolutely give it a shake and not get to that point where we get every year, seemingly over the last 5, where we're putting guys in cotton wool. You know, we've kind of resigned to the fact that we're not going to play final, so we prepare for the next year. I don't know. Where do you sit on preparing for the year after if you know you're not going to make it, and demanding performance for pride, irrespective of whether you can make it or not?
I think that they should be thinking about preseason now,
Okay.
even though it's still possible. But even if they make finals, I'll consider this year disappointing. I think it was there for the taking after last year. And Adrian makes a good point. That's how I'll feel. I feel like when all hope was lost, that's what drove them. Because that's always, if that's the motivation, you're always going to be 8th or 6th max.
Yeah.
You need to, if you want to be a winner, you've got to come out of the blocks fighting and be like, nah, we were 9th. We're going to set a standard by the bye. Knowing the last fixtures, the 7 and 3, 10 fixtures are easy. They should have been thinking, you know what, we're going to come home with a wet cell and finish 2nd, 3rd, double chance. So I'll be honest, when I do the review of the year, it will be a disappointment regardless. Short of winning the flag, the big question mark has to be, why did we start the way we did? And then if we go 7 and 3, my big question would be, why did we need to be dog shit to find 7 and 3? Because that's the common count and thing, isn't it? When all hope is lost, Teague, when we had that run for finals, everyone lost 2 weeks in a row. Suddenly we were in the window. It always seems to be that way. When are they going to intrinsically motivate themselves? Is my big question with this group.
True. Lou has asked, well, let me go back one. Cameron, if Cunners and Martin play injury-free for the rest of the year, do we keep them? Wow. Well, Martin's contracted, right? He's got one more.
Martin, yeah, you've got him, and you've got him at the good time as well because he's on sweet FA his last year.
Then there's Cunners. Well,
rookie Cunners, I would.
Yeah, I think it depends on the price. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it depends on the price.
I think Cunners will be the opposite of McGovern. Like when people are talking about McGovern and saying keep McGovern, we'll drop him down to 300. I'm like, yeah, good one. If your boss said you've been fucking about for 2 years, we're gonna fucking make your salary 25%, I'd be like,
yeah.
But I think Cunners, he did get a very high contract. I think even he would admit on potential. And since then, God bless him, everything that could go wrong in his body's gone wrong. So I do think he would do like an O'Brien, like a Kennedy, drop down. It means 125Ks off the books as well, which helps Carlton and give him a year to do it again. But I think Cunners, if you watch my video on list management, I did 9 changes, which is about 2 over the average.
Yep.
When you get more than that, you've got to look at what's coming in, right? And you want picks before 50 to fix your list. Outside of that, you're dart throwing. So if we let Gloves go and everyone says, oh, just go PSD. Yeah, well, you're looking at the players that are undrafted, that are the lowest of the low. Like, you might as well keep Cunners around for a year because he's probably going to be better than the guy like Josh Honey taking in the middle of nowhere.
Fair. Lou asked about TDK. I'm going to add to this question. So if he leaves, obviously we're probably going to have to go and find a replacement. But let's just say he stays. Do we still need another Ruckman on the list in addition to TDK and Pitto, who we know we've locked away for quite 4 years now, which would seem like we've paid unders as well, as in we've broadened out the contract for a lesser yearly rate and given him that security. How many Ruckman do you think you need on a list that could play in any given round?
I think you need 3. The model's kind of set that you have one senior experienced Ruckman, one who's the starter, and then one up-and-comer, right, who's learning the ropes, usually has an auxiliary role, and then you have a 4th option who's like maybe your speculative pick, like Murkoff, who's got all the facets you want. And if you've got the list space, you build him up. A bit like Nick Madden at GWS. They took him like pick 80 in their academy, and they were basically, he's got all the facets that say good Ruckman, but raw. If TDK is that horrible thing to talk about in a trade, because I always look at it this way. Carlton fans are going to look at it in a selfish way. He's our player. I want 8 firsts. In reality, I think the best way to judge his value is if we were buying him. And I would be saying this, everyone calm the fuck down. He's had one good game in 4 years. Last week. Like, you're on about first, so you're high. So you've got to take 2 things into account. All the reports are 800k, which screams one thing. It's the threat of the draft. So they know if you've got the salary cap, it's great list management. Sauce was the master of this, offering probably 200k more in a year, right? To use it in negotiations. So you can be like that. Okay, you don't accept our offer. Well, no other club's going to pay that in the draft. And that's how people always look at the draft and say, North will take him. No, they won't. Because the way that senior players in the draft, they set their figure and it'll blow out their rebuild. So that's why we knew we'd get Jack Martin. So that's a worry. But I would be looking at a first. I think a first on potential is good. They'll probably try and haggle us down. But I would be saying you're looking at a pick between 16 and 25. So then for us, we've got to look at, can we fix that? Is that a Scott Lycett? Is that maybe a Todd Goldstein for a year? Do you know what I mean? Real cheap. Is that maybe a Nick Bryan from Essendon who's out of contract and we replace a talented ruck with another one? A lot of questions asked, but that's what Nick Austin's got to do, right? If he gets, like in my model, we turn that into 2 top 10 picks, right? Because next year, long story, this is going to go on for ages, but get a notebook and pen out, right? We've got a free hit this draft because next year we have 2 top 10 picks, no matter what happens, because we've got the Camporellis. So that means next year's future first, we can throw it in the bin because we just need points. Now, the way the points work, picked round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5 by the AFL's ownership system means that would be 2 top 10 picks. We just wouldn't have any picks in the AFL draft next year. So this is the most prime draft for a while. That's what Austin's got to think. We're always going to have 2 firsts that we don't know about in the back pocket, so we can cheat the system a little bit. So TDK, if it was a ridiculous offer, like I'm talking pick 9, it's going to be tough. But Carlton have got to look at their wage structure. That's the prime amount. And if it's 800k, no matter how good you think TDK is, we can't keep him. Because look at the teams, look at the players we've got to re-sign in the next 2 years. That'll fuck us. Fuck us. So that's where Carlton have got to do. So next year's first will probably be traded to a second in some deal because we'll have the Camporellis and they will be, at worst case, top 15 too. Both of them will be top 15.
Just having a look now, because obviously this question mentioned Sean Darcy. So Sean Darcy just turned 25 on the 12th of June. Tom is going to turn 24 on the 16th of July. There's about a year difference between Tom de Koning and Sean Darcy. And then when we talk about what's a big contract in today's game? 700 plus? Would you say that's a big contract? Like like you're classified in the star category, 700 and above or 600 and above?
For a ruck, 700 is decent money. Like you've got to remember, Max Gorn, when he won the flag, was on 400.
Yeah.
So rucks genuinely don't get paid much money until they hit their straps. So the 800k you're talking about TDK is criminal. Like, is criminal. Like, you would have to back this time, 2026, TDK is the best ruckman in the league for that money, or up there. And is he? Be honest. Like, could you, like, those saying keep him at all costs, could you guarantee TDK will be top 3 ruckman 2026? Has he done enough right now to show you? Now, take away the specky marks, just what you know. Because Tim English was putting in the games he did against Gold Coast all the time when he signed his extension. TDK's done it once. Against a very good ruckman, Jared Witts. Once. If he does that 6, 7, 8, 9 times, okay, let's have the conversation. But that has helped us out. That Gold Coast game will have helped us out on that trade table because teams will be like, oh, hello. Hello.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was only a year difference between Tom and Sean. Look, when it's all said and done, do you think he'll stay or do you think he'll go? If you were we're all guessing.
I think he stays. I think if I was TDK and I was Nick Austin, I would say this to him, right? 800k, statistically speaking, in the AFL, when a young player gets money with potential, they fuck him off after 2, right? And it ruins them. It ruins them. I would say, look, let's give you 400 right now, 2-year deal, takes you to the restricted free agency, which then you've got the power if you want to move as well. But we'll have the conversation in 2 years' time, you could be $1 million footballer. Right? 2 years' time, you're $1 million footballer. Then we've got renegotiations where some players are on high fees. We can drop it down and eat it. But 400, 500, 2 years, stay with us. You've been through the tough time. I think he'll stay. I actually think he'll stay. I think the only way he'll go is if he holds out for 800 or someone offers silly trades. But tell you now, you won't get more than a first for TDK.
Josh says, you would think after round 23 last year that we would improve. What did they do in preseason? Voss has changed the game plan to make it slower and the players couldn't execute the basics kicks. I do get this take. I also believe we needed to add a layer to our game where we're a little bit more methodical with the way we move the ball up the ground. And when you look at the teams up the top, I mean, I watched Geelong and Melbourne the other night, and the way that they moved the ball, it was very methodical, particularly early in the game. And I think there is a space for that. You have to have space for that when it comes to playing consistent finals football. I don't think we can play ballistic football for 4 quarters. Or can we?
Well, you can't. You can't play it. I mean, I think it's a lot of it's overstated what Carlton are doing. And I think you saw it in the times. If you go back and I watched the first 4 games the other day, and you see in stages, you saw what you saw in the Gold Coast game against better opposition. The problem is our boys revert to that very safe sideways kick very quickly. And you saw it against Gold Coast quarter 1. The pressure came. Sabers clipped me where I said, I fear for these boys when they get a couple of goals down. You see it. You see it written on the face. Do you know what I mean? The movement stops. But when they move ahead of the ball, they look pretty good. And you see similarities to last year massively. And then once they get the clearance game going, it looks good. So you've got to add layers. Do you know what I mean? People forget Collingwood had to add a layer. They just went out and bought it in Tom Mitchell, who infinitely made their stoppage game better because he's one of the best players in the league at doing it. We had to fabricate a game plan of control with guys, with all due respect, as serial losers. It's not their fault, but they've got 30% win ratios, and you're asking them to get an element of control. Winning's still new to them. Do you know what I mean? And then you're asking them, okay, cool. Now you're winning. Now you've got to learn to be able to hold and control and pick your moments. This is a massive work in progress. And that comes down to the list management in the key years, like Hawthorn at the moment, doing a wonderful job because they're killing all the old players. They live and die by the sword. Sam Mitchell is very astute, got them playing a tough, quick, chaotic brand, and they're sticking to it, and they're adding layers every week. We're having the price now of that 5 years of dog shit recruitment where in the 30s, 40s, 50s, these players now are working at Coles, where other teams, like the Brisbane rebuild, these players are the core of their list. The reliable guys, the guys that they hang their hat on. So there's a lot to do. Like, I always look at it this way. When you sack a coach, the rebuild restarts. So we've effectively got a rebuild in 2 years with, I would say, 20 players that, if Voss was honest, wouldn't have them on the list.
If it was up to him, yeah. And that's the chicken and the egg situation, isn't it? Because it's like you want to coach. You know, we have wanted a coach to come in and just finish the job, whereas I don't know if that's how it's going to work in this game. there is still space in the AFL, and this is where I think it's very different to, you know, when we always look at the sports abroad, like in the Premier League or in the NBA. You can bring in a coach, and he might be able to help win a premiership or a championship that season. Whereas in footy, there is that level of continuity that you kind of need with your system and with your program. That is still rings true for us. I'm trying to think, who's the last coach to win a flag in the AFL where he was hired to do the job and finish the job off, and he did it? Who is that? Who are those coaches?
Would have been Roos at Sydney.
Roos at Sydney
Came in.
How was he?
Got out.
Did he win it? Did he win it straight away?
I don't think he run it straight away, but I don't think he was there too long, was he, Paul Roos? How long was
Chat,
Paul Roos?
if anyone in chat can help, who's the last coach where it was they hired him, he came in, and they won the premiership, and it was, you know, a short-lived, you know, moment.
He was there for a while, wasn't he? Right, it was 3 years. His third year. Scott, yeah, Chris Scott, Geelong,
Scott?
but then again, Chris Scott inherited one of the greatest lists of all time. I mean, football is like all sports. You look at all the great coaches, all of them have been there for a while. All of them have been there for a while. No one's had instant success. All the dynasties, all the teams that we talk about and we get excited over, it isn't the one season flash in the pans. It's the guys that were there 2 or 3 years, built their system, and then had success. Everyone, Pep, took him a couple of years, even with Man City and unlimited budget. Once it hit, did it. Alex Ferguson, do you know what I mean? He was there a while at United before his system took effect and the recruitment started to sow seeds. Early United are a good AFL metaphor because at that time Fergie came in, there wasn't big transfers like there is now. So that took a while. So I think the talking and sacking a coach is lunacy. If we sack a coach this year, you're talking proper clear out top to bottom, proper rebuild, Hawthorn rebuild. No one's coming in to fix this. No one's coming in to fix this. There's way too many players on there, way too many different game styles. That's a question for the chat. But if you sack Voss, you're talking clear out central, and you're talking clear out where, I mean, we've got people upset in chat at the thought of losing Jesus, but I would say that is where we are. 2023, we're still saying, I want to keep Jack Silvani because he tries. I want to keep Zach Fisher because he could be good. 6 fucking years. I mean, at that stage, we shouldn't be thinking if they're good. We should know. And number 2, effort should be the day. That should have been day one. Day one's requirement, not 6 years in. And Sam Mitchell never talks about effort with Hawthorn. That is ingrained into what he's building. He's looking at the individual skill sets and the individual performances of getting better. So that's it. Where we are now, do you know what I mean? Fuck me. We should be at a system now where we have a plan and everyone, we know everyone, know what everyone's skill is. And I don't think we do. And I don't think Voss knows his best 22. I don't think that's his fault. I think he's got 18 players who are basically the same NPC in a computer game, just with their eyebrows changed.
Well, this is where, you know, where you can't compare the AFL to the other leagues because no other sport has, I mean, the NFL you could argue has, but when you have 18 on the field, let's say 23 that you go to a game with, or 22 plus a sub every week, it's a very unique proposition to get buy-in from not only those 23 that are selected, but also the other 20 on the list. And ultimately, you need a total buy-in from the entire list to be successful. So you've got to manage disappointments. You've got to manage when players are not playing when they feel like they should be playing. You've got to manage those relationships. You've got to manage the buy-in. That's why it's very difficult to have a coach come in and then, you know, that's it. You know, he's going to get them over the line. So if I go back to the question, who were the coaches that got it done in the first, say, year or 2 years? Beveridge, was he not with them for a little while?
Luke Beveridge, he was there a couple of years, wasn't he?
I think 2 or 3. So Scott, obviously Chris Scott came into the system and won a flag in the first year with the Cats. Lee Matthews, yeah, I guess that's probably an example there. David Parkin, I don't really remember his story. I was a bit young. Walls, 87, and he was sacked 88 or 89.
Beveridge, you've got to remember, though, he was there, year and a bit? But you've
Yeah.
got to remember, what's he done since?
Sorry, I just realized that Hannah was a Cats fan. Hannah, I did not know that. I thought you were a Carlton fan this whole time.
You've got to think of it. No, but you've got to think of it this way. Beveridge is my biggest fear. Win one, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Mediocrity.
Yeah.
Every dog has its day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Every dog has its day. Broken clock's right twice a day. So, I mean, this is a good one here. This is probably the closest we've got. And he didn't win a flag, McRae. Fly's a great case study. But look at Fly's list when he took over. So it's very similar to Teague taking over from Bolton, right? Very defensive game plan, suddenly being a bit more progressive. The shackles were broken. Fantastic. But you look at that list versus Voss's list. He's got Pendlebury, right? All Australian 6 times. AFL Player of the Year, BNF 7, Norm Smith winner, Young Player of the Year. He's been in the AA 48 times, a Premiership player in 2010. Steel Sidebottom Premiership player in 2010, All Australian. Jordan Ruffhead, even though he didn't play a lot of games, again, Premiership experience. Do you know what I mean? Another 6 AA players who had played long-term finals. I think only 16 players of his list had never played finals. Right? Carlton, we've got 3 players who have played finals?
Yeah, I think there's also, I mean, when you look at what he had starting with the list, he's got Premiership players, that experience to bridge the gap between the youth that's coming up and what they already have. So good decision makers that have played high stakes games under pressure. And they do it very well. I also think he's got, I mean, his man management is obviously very good. He's got an ability to get them believing in something collectively. Also got to remember he came at a time just after they had a bit of turmoil. They had the Brodie Grundy, Jordan De Goey situations. They had the report with Heritier Lumumba, like a bit of adversity to go through as a club. But I think, he seems to be that modern communicator. It's obviously early in the piece of his coaching career, so he'll have his challenges as well. But there was, I was speaking to a friend who used to play in the league, and everyone's got their opinion, and he was saying something around, you look at coaches who have been stars when they were players, like champions, and then you look at coaches who have been, who were, quote unquote role players, like maybe not the top 3 or 4 players on the teams that they played for. And this person said that there's something in that. And then I guess the question was posed, like, can a Michael Voss relate to what a Matt Always is going through? Or, can a Voss relate to what a Cottrell is going through, for example? And I don't know what the answer is, but I'm curious about that, because if we go and ask the next question about coaches who have won premierships in the last, say, 20 years, how many of them were superstar players or champion players? And I wonder if there's a link.
There's a massive link. You've got to think of it. Why? You've only got to look at, say, sales, something that I'm familiar with. Say golf. Great golf coaches, genuinely shit players. They could play, they weren't great, right? So David Ledbetter, great example. He's coached a lot. Butch Harmon has coached most of the major winners. Very average, right? And the reason is because, as a golf coach myself, a guy that went into coaching very young, I analysed I wasn't a good enough player. It burns you, but you have an understanding very quickly why you're not their level, right? When you talk to good players, Sergio Garcia is one of the most irritating players to ever talk to about golf, because when you ask him, why are you good? He hasn't got a fucking clue, because he's just instinctive. Everything he does, God gave him. God came down and gave him the natural gift. Tiger Woods struggles to talk about it. If you ever read Tiger Woods' golf book, absolute garbage, complete nonsensical. None of it is useful, because he's just naturally gifted. For Fly, I think if you analyse and you say, you have the argument, Carlton have got Jacob Wheatery, Carlton have had Charlie Curnow, Carlton have got Harry Mackay, you're an idiot if you think that's comparable to Collingwood's list, right? Because Collingwood did 3 things that we would never do. One, when they had all that internal turmoil, they called the players together. They got feedback, which was agreed that Buckley was finally going to go. They changed their coach. They changed their boardroom. They came up with a new game plan. Jeff Walsh then decided to have a real strict recruitment strategy. Everything was blown out of the window when they changed the coach. Carlton, we blew everything out of the window 5 years ago. Then we did it 2 years ago, but the same things remained, right? Now, is Voss the right man? Time will tell. But you've got to understand, Fly's entire career was making Voss good, getting the ball to Voss. Voss was the one who got the pats on the back. Fly understands what it's like to be the shit kicker, pulling the ball out and handballing it to Vossi. He understands to lose a tooth, but Vossi wins 3 Brownlow votes, and you're like, hang about. I fucking fed it to him. Hang about, this player did this. He was the one that was named. A bit like Cripps for Carlton. When Carlton win, it's Cripps. Do you know what I mean? They forget Kennedy's fucking had 10 contested. Do you know what I mean? Carlton fans remember, but the AFL world will talk about Cripps' 3 Brownlow votes. So it is a different mindset. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting point. When Carlton win, Cripper would a leader. When Carlton lose, don't criticise Cripper. He's done so much for the club. Can't hold him to account. It's a very interesting point.
It's huge, and you see it in sales. So the industry I work in now, the best managers are genuinely not the top salespeople because they understand what they're lacking. So for Voss, contested Bowie was Cripps on steroids, but there was 1,000 players around there who were very good role players who understood their job was being a cog. Voss could change the game. Their job was to be the glue, the cog. And that's what makes a good coach. When you have a great understanding of being a shit kicker, you can be a good leader because you understand the base level. Cooter, great leadership when you talk to Cooter, because Cooter's story to AFL, totally different to most other people. Wasn't a fancied player. There was many times he was told by coaches he wasn't going to make it. There was times in his mind he wanted to give up. However, he understood, being on the outer, that when he got that opportunity, boy, did he take it and he wouldn't let it go. So then you look at the young day players. This gets onto a new conversation. I talked to draftees 20 years ago when the draft first came out, and they weren't allowed to talk to some of the senior players. That was how the dressing room worked. You're not an equal. You're not an equal. Do you know what I mean? You have to go through a measurement so you can talk to me and use my first name. Nowadays, these players, honestly, you'll be sickened when you see top 10 in the league, how they're treated at club level. They're treated like gods as 18, 17-year-old boys. Then they go in. So there's another leadership issue. Suddenly these players come in. Some players can't handle it. I say it all the time when we do drafts. Some of these draftees can't cope with being the shit kicker. Suddenly they're the superstar. Now they're poor. Now Cripper's not going to look at pick 20 in the draft and go, oh, you know what it's like to be in the trenches. He's going to be like, you're just another player here, mate. So
yeah, it's an interesting one because
big culture.
We have a team full of high draft picks, so they've had to almost learn the art of being a good teammate. Because I think you don't play the game and you don't be successful as a junior unless you're a good teammate. But yeah, there's a bit of a learning there. I wanted to get to Josh's comment here because I think this is another interesting subtopic. Get where you're coming from about Collingwood. We can't compare us to them, but now what about St Kilda? How have they gone above us in Essendon? 2 coaches that rejected us, Brad Scott and Ross. So, okay, yes, as it stands right now, the Saints have won. They're 2.5 games ahead of us, and Essendon are 2.5 games ahead of us with a game in hand. Let's just say they're 3 games ahead of us. So at the end of the season, do we judge it on what it looked like at the end of round 14? Or do we judge it like... I feel like we get caught up in doing this a little too early, and we try and draw a conclusion.
Yeah, but this time last year we were what, 8-3?
Yeah. So does that mean?
And that's what St Kilda are they?
Yeah, well, 8-5, whatever they are. But like, did that mean that we had gone past the Fremantles and all of that. I mean, it's like I said, it goes back to that conversation of we try and just draw the conclusion as soon as we possibly can. Like St Kilda are slowly but surely evening out from the start of the season when they started really hot, not dissimilar to what we did last year. Like the body of work over time is starting to play itself out. So I'm just not ready to. Maybe I'm in denial, but I'm just not ready to call that just yet after 14 rounds.
I do find it really irritating when people are like, Voss is not good enough, sack him, right? But the same live chat I'm witnessing was also telling me Teague was going to lead us to a flag and it's too early to sack him. Bolton's going to do it. You can't sack someone now. And who you're replacing with? Dimmer. It's a pipe dream, right? Look at Richmond's list management. Absolutely fucking stellar. But it took a while to pay off. But if you bring a new coach in, you're going to have to start again. So enjoy a 3-4 year rebuild. And that 3 or 4 year rebuild will probably see the likes of Cripps and players like that leave as they work frantically in 2 years to do a very subsidized draft. So whatever Carlton do now, understand this. 2024 draft, Carlton will have no picks. That'll be tied up to father and sons. They can't be traded. Carlton can refuse to take them if they want to. It will be suicide. These are very two talented boys, right? Then you'll have this draft. And then you've got Tasmania in the draft after. So Carlton will have one window plus a load of mid-30s to get a coach, change all the systems, get a structure, then do it. So whatever happens has to be done at the end of the year, but it's not going to be a quick fix. Like, you are looking probably at Carlton playing finals 2028 with the way the window's going. That is how tough and what the Tasmanian predictions are based on what GWS had, based on what Gold Coast had. No one had success in them drafts. And that is going to kill Carlton's rebuild. So Carlton have got to look at micromanaging something. And do you know what I mean? It's all right being hot-headed, but actually think your problems out. So if you think Dimmer is going to fix it straight away, fuck me.
It's the underlying Messiah complex, isn't it? We're
We're in this mess. We're in this mess because since 1995, everyone is so far up their ass that they just think they get it. Yeah. And it's got harder and harder and harder. And Carlton have never moved with the times and realized that this league is a league that is built around process, sticking to a process and fucking seeing it through. Carlton of old go, oh shit, it's a little bit hard. Oh, that South Australian kid, Sticks Kernahan, he can kick a ball. Brilliant. Get him over. Just call him up now. Get him in. Oh, great. We've got a great key forward. Now, you've got to hope one falls to your pick. You've got to trade out. You've got to do that. So whatever Carlton do from now to the end of the season, if they sack Voss, sack him now. Right now, all the people go. The new coach needs to be coming in. The new list manager needs to come in the next 6 weeks. And you've got to fucking pull apart this list because this will be the toughest rebuild ever. That's why Hawthorn have gone so bold. Why do you think Hawthorn, North, have jettisoned over 28s? Because they know with Tasmania coming in, fuck, you are fucked. You are fucked. You've got 1 year. But Dimmer can't fucking make Zach Fisher go for the tough ball. Dimmer can't make Wheater not be able to do 2 things at once. Dimmer can't come in and tell Sard to stop being bogged down. Dimmer can't come in and say, can the midfield fucking be too paced? That's people problems. And correct. The problem is, as much as you love Sauce, and I know that we all get caught up in the family fucking name, but Sauce was dreadful 2018 and 2019, his last 2 years, he'd given up. Some of them decisions there are abhorrent. Going to the press and saying we need 3 mid-age players who play half forward and midfield and spunking up a first on Mitch McGovern and then saying, oh, well, now we've got an extra forward. It's not fucking a midfielder, right? That he's talked about. something went very wrong there, and now you're bearing the cross. And that's why go through our list. Go through our list. Half of them are the same fucking player. It's like, who would you honestly like? The best way I describe our list at times for Voss, and if I was Voss, I'd look at it. It would be like saying, "Who do you want to play in the midfield?" And it would be like being asked the question, "Can you pick 5 blokes at random in a pub to bang your wife and you watch?" It's a fucking depressing answer. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I feel for him. So Nick Austin has the biggest job in the world, but I don't know if Voss can do it. He seems to have the idea. He must know how to win, unless what I'm looking at in this dynasty was the biggest Fugazi I've ever seen. But look at the fucking team, man. Like, you look at Collingwood. People want to talk about Collingwood. Well, Collingwood are doing well. They've got 8 options in every fucking position. Yeah. We've got Zach Fisher, who is literally a clone of every other player that we can play in that role. Jack Silvani tries hard, can't kick, can't mark, tries hard though. But then we've got Jack Martin, right, who can't get on the fucking ground. Like, what's Voss meant to do? Like, that is also tough, but that's list management has been abhorrent at this club for millennia.
Yeah.
Millennia.
Well, Hannah asked about it in a previous comment about on the list management. So it's a good timing because you did the tier ranking video that you uploaded earlier today, going through the list that we've had over the last 10 years. So after this stream finishes, guys, make sure you go and watch it because that'll paint the picture of what we've just been talking about. Unfortunately, we are bearing the brunt right now in 2023 from list management decisions that we have to wait out until these contracts are up on decisions that were made before the people that were here are in charge. I would say Nick Austin's done a pretty good job so far. Solid enough. I'd give him a tick so far for some of the deals that he's made, the negotiations he's gotten through, and the players that have come in, both from a draft perspective and I think from a free agency / trade perspective. There is that feeling that this offseason is his biggest test. And maybe that's just because we're in the moment right now and there's no more important year than this year. But I mean, last year we just needed a few extra pieces. We needed to fix the wing situation and upgrade that. But I think we felt like we had the pieces. Whereas now there's clearly, I mean, it feels like there's going to be a lot more change than what there was this time last year.
Well, there has to be. There has to be.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at teams that are flying at the moment. Port have had their injury lists, right?
Yeah.
A big injury list. And you look at what they can bring in. You look at Carlton when we had injuries last year. Look at what you're bringing in. Man.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And, you know, development, Brian nails it. There's a few things that make no sense. So I don't want to pick on Sauce. It's obvious he wasn't very good at his job. That's not an opinion. That's fact now. But Dow 3 taking Lockie O'Brien 10. 6 picks earlier than planned. His defense of that was it was something we did at GWS that we mirrored people from junior clubs. Came from fucking Bendigo, Terry. If Paddy Dow is fucking homesick at Carlton, fuck me, we're lost. We're lost. Yeah. So they're the little mistakes. Stocker, he maybe failed on that. Do you know what I mean? Which is a no-brainer. You can blame a lot of things. But when you actually look at the top teams, Port Adelaide, right? Port Adelaide, a plethora of players, 40, 50, make up that list. For their stars, people get too focused on stars, but you don't need stars if you haven't got the workhorses, and they've got workhorses. Collingwood have workhorses. Essendon, the big question mark of them was there was too many workhorses, which we're now starting to see some classy footballers descend from there. Carlton, we have no options. We have no variety. The ones that people get excited about, I always laugh when people say we nailed the 2015 draft. You didn't really. Because the players are obvious. Like, if you actually went back through that draft and you had them picks, based on what was picked before you, you'd be a muppet not to pick them. Harry,
especially in a team that was clearly rebuilding, didn't have key position stocks for the future. Yeah, I'm with you.
And the problem is the cold hard facts are list building. The risk is Sauce, right? Went to a club from GWS where basically it was bring star, bring star, bring star, bring star. It's like being a kid in a candy factory.
Right.
He'd never had any experience in building a squad. And we look in our 30s, that's where Sauce had a penchant for taking a guy that 2 years earlier was top 10, but now had injuries. And he was like, oh, we've got a bargain if we can keep him fit. If we can keep him fit. Did it with Kemp. Kemp was second this time the year before the draft. Injury. He took him pick 17. Now, that'll come good, right? But that's one case. And they're the problems. That's why you've got to get it right. And then you look at things like Lockie O'Brien's been mentioned in chat. You've also got to look at the application. This is something that Nick Austin spends a lot of time on, the psychology of a draftee. This time last year, Lockie O'Brien was being gifted games because we had no fucking wingers. It was him or Jack Noons. He's gone out of the side because Holland's infinitely better than Lockie O'Brien. Matty Cottrell, better than Lockie O'Brien for what Voss is doing. And Blake Acres has got history. Watch O'Brien in the reses. Absolutely given up. Absolutely. His game against Werribee is close to one of the worst games I've ever seen an AFL footballer play in VFL. Absolutely abhorrent. It was anti Lockie O'Brien. And there's the problem. Some of these players just don't fight. Dow, credit to him, fucking fought his tits off.
Nah, mate, right? I didn't think I'd be praising Paddy Dow at this point in the year. Full credit to his application and his attitude.
Do you know what I mean? People talk about Stocker. I am shocked when I see a Carlton fan with any respect to themselves say, I'm glad Stocker's doing well. Guy slated us in the press the minute we left. Minute he was out, and we did the right thing. We delisted him early. We didn't have to. We could have clung on to him, which some teams do to be dickheads. We got rid of him. Setterfield said that he didn't want to be second choice. Carlton gave him for free like Nick Newman came to us. People forget that. They could have got rid of Nick Newman and let him be a free-for-all. They did a deal with Carlton for a very late pick. We did the right thing by the player. So that's where JSOS is. If JSOS at 25 years old, Nick Austin says, look, Voss says you're not best 22. Do you want to stay and get paid? Or we've got an opportunity for you to go to here and they want you. If he doesn't choose that, I would say that's selfish because he's probably getting paid too much at Carlton. They want to play, right? Stocker, you watch Stocker play football for Saints and then look at what we do as a football team. He couldn't do that for us because we don't have that skill set. We don't play that game plan. Ross Lyon, watch him against Brisbane. Plays 18 men behind the fucking ball, bro. Is that how we want to play? Is that how we want to play? Fuck me. True. I'll stand by this and you can quote me on this. St Kilda won't go anywhere with Ross. They will stay 6th. 5th, 6th. They won't win a flag. It'll be very solid, though. He'll solidify them because it needs some je ne sais quoi to win this flag.
Je ne sais quoi. Je ne sais quoi.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, fuck, if we're crying that we've lost Setterfield and Stocker, the list is shitter than I think it is. And I think the list is in a right fucking mess.
Yeah.
Between you, me, and the Fen Post. But if you're telling me, fuck, I wish we had Stocker there. Fuck, I wish we could sign JSOS to a 6-year deal. Fuck, it's worse than I think it is. And I think 9th is a fair metric of where this list is as a roundedness.
Yeah, fair. Well, I've got dinner plans with Paul Sebastiani at 5, so we're going to head off shortly. But this has been great. This has been great. Do we bring back BA Saturdays? I think we have.
I just like talking footy with Terry and the lads and lasses in chat.
It was actually fun. Guys that tuned in, thanks for tuning in on the shortest of short notice. There's going to be some changes coming and additions coming to the channel. So this is the fun part, testing out new concepts. Let us know. Do you like a Saturday session, like a Saturday mid-afternoon session? before the footy starts, because I had a lot of fun. No agenda, just whatever you all put in the chat, bit of a Q&A, just a bit of a laid back one. Maybe next time we can add the link and have people join in and just get it going. Maybe yeah, 5 p.m. is my afternoon tea. No, I think we would probably do it earlier. It would probably be like an 11 a.m. type situation, Saturday morning, mid-morning, afternoon, before the footy starts. Yeah, just a bit of something different. And yeah, so I think we'll leave it there. Pommy, we'll see you Monday for the BA show. See you all Monday for the BA show.
Are we doing the Monday mid-season review? Because I have got all the stats for every player, so we've graded them.
Wow. Yes,
as you've requested, chat, because I love you.
Oh, you've gone to put them all through the algorithm. Wow.
Yeah, because they all asked what would they have been, so we've got the full thing.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen on Monday. BA show. Tomorrow night, the Almost Blues Brothers are doing their 360 feedback. Now, for those of you who have never listened to the Almost Blues Brothers or watched them, they do this at the midpoint of every year. They do this 360 feedback with each other. It is a piss take. It's so funny. They just basically go at each other. It's awesome. So tune into that tomorrow night, Sunday night. And yeah, we'll see you guys Monday. Very exciting. Pommy, peace out.
Go Blues.